Good afternoon, good morning if you're in America, or good evening if you're further east of me. My name is Del Rodriguez, and this show is FM, aka Flabonga Monthrothacube. Yes, nailed it. And with me today, I've got Ryan Pearcy. Correct?
No, good start, Dale.
Pearcy? Good start.
You're on such a roll. You said the name of the show perfectly and then got my name wrong. So Pearcy is right. It's Ryan Pearcy.
It is Pearcy?
Yeah, it's Pearcy. Yeah, it's just a bad spelling of Pearcy.
I mean, you didn't name yourself, so
that's true.
Do you need to get that? Do you need to get that? It might be important. No sarcasm.
What was that? Sorry.
Your phone, it just vibrated.
Oh no, I don't need to get it. I'm just putting it somewhere where it's out of my way and not distracting.
Cool. Thank you for joining me, and apologies for getting your name incorrect. Have I asked you my biscuit question before?
If you have, I don't remember it, so ask away.
If you were a biscuit, what kind of biscuit would you be that accurately portrays your personality and why, but don't just pick your favourite biscuit?
Oh God, well that's challenging. Now I need to remember the names of biscuits. That's probably the biggest challenge here. So, what biscuit would I be? And I can't pick my favourite one.
You can pick your favourite one.
Well, to eat, my favourite biscuit is a chocolate hobnob. You can't go wrong with a chocolate hobnob. But nice, I mean, nice. Am I interesting enough to be a chocolate hobnob? That's the question. No, I think I'd probably be more like a custard cream. I think I'm quite pale, which works with that. I'm quite. I can be a bit different, a bit cheeky. It's got a bit of flavour there. So yeah, I think a custard cream I'm going for. Oh, Darren.
Yeah. We'll put the comments up. So first of all, we've got Raquel Flores from Texas. Thank you for joining us, Raquel. It's like 6 a.m. for her, so she's awesome. Got Darren Glanville, another magnificent bald man, and he's gone with Gary Baldy.
Brilliant, Darren. Cheers, mate. If it was anyone else, I'd be offended.
We're literally like a minute and a half, 2 minutes in. There's already ball jokes happening. I love
Sounds
it.
Good.
This is going to be a good show because when people interact and make jokes, that's usually when it's the best. Okay, you are relatively well known in the UK accounting space. You specialise in fintech, but for people who don't know you, please could you just say your name, where you work, and kind of what you do.
Yeah, of course. So my name's Ryan Pearcy. I'm a chartered accountant over in the east of England, in a county called Essex. I am a associate partner at Scrutton Bland. I head up our digital transformation arm, so helping businesses transition into cloud-based technology. Our brand is SB Digital, and we're one of the leading, advisors in the UK in this space. I also, for my sins, run a podcast. So if anyone following this wants to listen to me talk more about tech, please follow the Digitals in a Cruel World podcast. I pick, similar to you, Dale, pick something that's impossible to say and spell. And then also run a network of systems advisors across the UK, New Zealand, Canada, and South Africa to help, drive this industry forward, which is a relatively new industry.
That's awesome. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question, and I promised I wouldn't ask you any kind of like Jeremy Paxman too difficult questions. The pun you've made in your show, in a cruel world, it's spelled accrual with 2 C's, right? Accrual.
Yeah.
What is accrual for non-finance, non-bookkeeping, non-accounting people? What are accruals?
Please explain. Wow. So yeah, going back to studying accountancy here. So so an accrual is bringing say you pay something, but you pay it next year, but it relates to something you're doing this year. And then that would be an accrual when you're bringing that cost forward to the time it occurs, like the time you're receiving that service. That would be an accrual. So ignore when you're paying it, ignore when you're even getting the invoice for it, when you're being billed for it. You're bringing forward the cost to when it's relevant.
Stupid question. For me, who's not an accountant, let's say I'm a SME, startup, scale up. What does that mean for me?
Okay, so for you, say that you're you're receiving some work. Say, for example, I was charging an incredibly high consultancy fee to be in a podcast with you, Dale. Then I might not invoice that for a while, but you can reclaim that cost now, and you can reclaim the tax. You get the tax deduction that's related to that cost now. So even though your money is going out in the future, which is a benefit for you because you're delaying making payment, you can get the tax benefit of that deduction immediately. That's got awesome. Nothing to do with the name of the podcast, though.
No, it's a really good pun, though. It's very good. Thank you for explaining that, by the way, because honestly, this stuff is really helpful. Because, as you know, I come from a non-accounting background. I've come into this sector, and my observation is many business owners or clients of accountants and bookkeepers don't actually understand what they do, and because they don't understand that, they don't really appreciate the value. And when someone comes on and takes time to answer my dumb questions and dumbs it down like that, it's helpful, in my opinion, not just for me, but for other people who might be watching this. Because again, like I said, we've got some students, we've got people from the USA, we've got loads of people watching these things. So yeah, thank you for explaining. The next question I ask most accountants that come on this show: what is a journal? Accountants love journals. Just journal it over in Sage. Just journal it in Xero. The fudge is a journal. And I've had some very good explanations because I've had Graham Tennick on here. I've had Sharon Baker on here. So like, no pressure. But
oh wow,
I've had some very good answers.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm not going to be as good as them. So how would I explain a journal differently to how they might explain a journal? All right. So accountancy is based on something called double entry bookkeeping. The whole of the accounting profession globally is based on that principle, so that every time you do an entry, you have to post it in two areas, and by doing that, it means that everything can balance and your accounts can balance and your finances make sense. The entire financial system is based on that principle. Okay, and a journal is in essence the simplest transaction you can do in this. You debit, so if you look at it as two columns, you've got a left and a right, and when you're doing a double entry, you have to do one in the left, one in the right. A journal is putting something in the left-hand side and putting something in the right-hand side, and that's as simple as it is. You can have the most basic entry. When you then get into other accounting entries, you then have to narrow those down to certain areas. So like a bank transaction has to interact with bank, a purchase transaction has to interact with your accounts payable, sales with your sales ledger. Journal can go anywhere. It's like the free range style accounting entry, the wild west of accounting transactions. So that's why accountants do it and love it, because there's less control. It's based on our experience, hence why we do journals. Supposedly, we know what we're doing. I'm sure we'll find many accountants that do journals and have no idea what they're doing.
No, it's funny to say that, because when I spoke to Sharon, she explained how a client tried to do their journal, and basically they didn't like their VAT liability, so they just kind of moved it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, you can't do. There's plenty wrong with that. You can't just do that. Even I know that. Just say Darren's giving you some shine, by the way. Darren Glanville. Ryan is awesome. Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too, Darren.
The bald and the beautiful.
Yeah, we should form some sort of club.
What, follically challenged?
Yeah, in the accounting community.
It'd
be the biggest
FCCA.
It'd be the biggest club in the world, the bald accountants.
I mean, it might exclude a few people who don't go bald, but sure, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's just typical, I guess, accountant is what a bald white man. So stereotypical. I'm hitting every one of those.
I mean, I think that's changing. I think they're seeing a lot of different people kind
definitely
of coming into it and rising up, which is really cool. Okay, I've asked you some very, not very technical, but somewhat technical questions. Let's ask you some silly questions. When you are not advising on tech and being a tech guru, what do you do for fun? What's a typical Sunday for you?
Typical Sunday. So I've got a 3-year-old. So typical Sunday is looking after her, playing games with her, taking her to see her friends, and just having general family-based fun. So if I ran for a Sunday, I'd do running. So that's my way of keeping fit. It's the easiest thing to do with a young child, because literally I can just go from my door and run and then come back, and it minimizes kind of the time out. So I might do a 10K or a 15K run. And then, it's kind of doing stuff around the house and looking after my daughter, and my dog. So that's probably a typical Sunday for me.
I didn't realize we have children the same age. So my daughter's also 3.
Oh, brilliant.
Have you found this is kind of a more personal question. Have you found that fatherhood has changed you? And I'll confess, right? I feel like it's maybe a bit softer in a good way. I used to walk in the streets and see babies, could not care less.
Oh yeah.
Honestly. And now that I have a spawn of my own, I can genuinely look at it and go, oh, that thing's kind of cute. That's going to turn into something like mine. Do you find that's changed for you a little bit, or?
I have a greater appreciation for parents. That's definitely something that changes. Before having kids, if there's a kid crying or screaming, you just say, "Oh, come on, just get it under control." And now you're just like, "I feel your pain. I feel your pain." So I wouldn't say it's. I'm not sure softer, right? I've got, in certain ways, I'm more defensive, more protective, in certain instances, but I'd say a greater appreciation of certain things, and I definitely am more emotional now in certain circumstances. If you see something sad regarding children, it really grabs me compared to before, when it wouldn't at all. But other things, massively sleep deprived, propensity to just want to take some time for myself whenever possible. Those are other things that have come with being a parent.
Yeah, no, I completely can relate. What is the springs to your mind? What's the most joyous thing that's come from your daughter in the last couple of weeks or months that you can think of?
Oh, yeah, joyous thing from my daughter. I mean, there's loads of things, but I mean, at the moment, she's she's got this thing of being very clingy with me. So let's do this morning. So last night it was impossible to get to bed. Just like an argument, get to bed. And she then woke me up 4 times in the night, just walking in just to say that she'd woken up, just to let me know, and so that I could direct her back to bed. Very kind of her to do that. But then this morning, she came in and gave me a big hug and said she missed me. I was like, oh, that's lovely. I mean, you woke me up like probably about 2 hours ago, but still, it's really pleasant. So yeah, that still kind of breaks my little heart when she's like that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing, by the way. That's a really tender moment.
Well, actually, I'm going to ask back to you then, Dale. What's yours? What's your most, I guess, special moment with your daughter? Is it daughter, do you say?
Daughter, yeah. I'm tied between two. Like, when I asked it, I also thought of my own memories. One is she's recently learnt jokes, and her mother has taught her a joke. Her comedic timing and delivery aren't great. Like, it's a knock-knock joke, and she forgets to wait for the person to ask. She just says it. So that's kind of cute. But she started trying to make up her own jokes, and she'll say things like, why did the nugget cross the road to get to the crocodile? And then laugh her backside off. She thinks she's the funniest human being on the planet. And I'm not gonna lie, because she laughs so hard, I laugh so hard, and I realize I'm encouraging this terrible comedy. But it's cute because you can see her little brain kind of just trying to work it out. And yeah, so that's one of my tenderest moments. And that was literally just a couple of days ago. She was just
is she
making up these jokes.
Is she emulating Daddy here? Is that what she's doing?
No, my dad jokes are on point, and my delivery is amazing. She's not emulating me. I'm trying to think of another moment. Oh, she's I won't say the term sassy, but she's direct. And there's a few times when she and I will be silly, and I refuse to be silly with her sometimes. And one time I wasn't being silly enough for her, and she literally just looked at me like this and said, "Come on, Daddy, you can do better than that." And I was like, Who taught you that? I don't speak to you that way. Your mother doesn't speak to you that way. Like, just little punk caught me off guard. So
definitely. I find many of those where they've learnt something and it just surprises you. You're like, whoa, where's that come from? And it can be very sassy. I think 3-year-old daughters, they're definitely entering the sassy period.
I mean, I try not. I said sassy. I try not to use the word sassy because it has negative connotations. Like, she's not bossy. She's just assertive. What do you mean? Because like when you say bossy, do you mean like she's?
Oh no, I mean
not bossy. She's just...
I can be bossy. Like I think we as a society pick certain words and then decide that they're negative. And I guess the way I talk, I'm not necessarily doing it as negative or positive. She bosses people around, just like, you know, in business, you kind of, to some extent, have to boss people around to get things done, right? She can, and I boss, you know, I will boss her around in the house if like she needs to go into a room or tidy her stuff, and she'll boss me around like I've not played sufficiently. So she's hit that, you know, that confident period where she's wanting to challenge everything and make sure that she's getting some of her own way.
Yes. Love it. I'm enjoying it as well. Just got to give a shout out to Ian Cooper Ian Cooper. Afternoon all, he says, Ian, thank you for taking time to watch. And that is a perfect segue into a business related question, because again, we're on LinkedIn primarily, so got to make sure ask business stuff. What does fintech mean? I know it's obvious, but please.
Yeah, so fintech, short for financial technology. Any technology that interacts with the finance, I guess, area. So it could be something that is a specific piece of financial software, or it could be something that interacts with that financial software. So med tech, I guess, is in the medical sector. Fintech is in the financial sector. As simple as that, really.
That's an interesting one, though, because in your opinion, where would you draw the line? Because I'm biased. I genuinely believe that the fintech or the financial side of things is the plumb line of the business, but so many other things plug into it. So, for example, you could say a CRM, a client relationship management software, is not fintech. However, the output from it to your financial function is actually quite vital, depending on your business. So, where do you think we could draw the line, or is that too much of a?
No, it's a very good point, and I think that definition or the weight that you put behind that very much will dictate how you approach looking at your systems. So we're at Scrutton Bland at SB Digital, we're accountants, and therefore we put a lot of onus on the financial side of a business, because in essence the key the KPIs, the key drivers come down to how much money you're making. That's what you want to get out of business as a key objective. It's how much money can I make, how much money can I develop over time, how much value can I bring. So everything else kind of drives into that. And so you need your financial core to be solid to then build around. So whenever we're doing our work in digital transformation, we make sure we get a solid financial system that can deliver the reporting needs. So to drive the client's business forward, and then we focus on the operational and ancillary systems around that. And you talk about CRM. We actually find a lot of the time CRM doesn't necessarily interact directly with finance. CRM might interact with operations that then interact with finance. And so it's the flow and how different systems connect. And so if you talk about, which I guess I probably should explain, but an ERP, which is what's called an enterprise resource planning system, which is basically just a big technology system that has everything in one place. The way we work is we pick and choose different elements that are already in the market and connect them together to make it best in breed and hopefully more cost effective. I think that answers your question.
That was a fantastic answer, thank you. And you gave more. This is great. In your opinion, or in your experience, does it make a difference between the company size and what kind of system they have? So you mentioned kind of more of a modular design, but then you mentioned an ERP. Are there particular, what's the word, points or variables that you look at and advise an ERP for a business, or again a more modular design around a Xero, QuickBooks, Sage kind of build?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So it's indirectly tied to size, right? Really, it's based on complexity, but complexity generally comes with size. And there's also bits that an ERP will generally rule itself out for small businesses because the price of it's so much bigger, it's and so much more costly. So if we take a standard cloud-based ERP system, NetSuite, which is probably the biggest in the world, the first year implementation of a basic level NetSuite with the software cost is about £100,000. If your business is generating £100,000 in income for the year, you're not going to want an ERP. So it rules itself out, doesn't it? What we generally look at is traditionally you would start looking at ERP maybe at around 10 million turnover once you come out of that small business size. But now with what you can achieve with the modular systems and APIs, that has pushed upwards, and it's looking on what you can achieve from a transaction volume perspective. So you can have some really big businesses, low transaction volume, can work on like a Sage, QuickBooks, Xero system. But those that are kind of mid-tier but have lots of transactions may need an ERP where it can handle a lot more volume. But if I kind of put this in context, for if you look at a monthly cost, you may be looking at £50 a month for a small piece of software. Those that are kind of listed, maybe less than that. And then you're kind of moving up to a multiple of 10, maybe £500 a month. And then you're looking up to a multiple 10 again for the full ERP. So you have to find the right system to fit the right business and the situation they're in.
Cool. 2 questions, completely irrelevant. Not that I'm not listening, but just going back a step. You mentioned that you are an associate partner at your firm. What does associate partner mean? Is that like was the associate bit?
It's a really good question, Dale. I'm still trying to work that out, to be honest. But the no, so the associate partner is that person that's progressing through to full partnership. So they're doing business development. They are doing a lot of strategy, but they're early on in that journey. They've not, I guess, built the portfolio or the same size and structure that a full partner would have. So it's a relatively new term, especially in the accounting sector. You get a lot of this in the legal sector where you get associate partner. For at least at Scrutton Bland, they only kind of created that as a role from the 1st of April, and prior to that I was a director, but it didn't really make sense from a terminology point of view in a partnership, so we transitioned to associate partner.
Okay, that's cool. Next question. I'm not going to ask you for a particular brand, but is there a particular type of software in the fintech space that you enjoy the most?
I enjoy the most.
Like a favorite type, for example.
Favorite type of. I mean, I'm in accounting, so I love the finance systems. A good finance system is quite rewarding because it makes my life so much easier. I mean, communication channels are great if they're run effectively. But I would change this, right? My favorite thing in technology at the moment are APIs, because it has enabled a complete revolution in how small businesses can work, and enable me to do what I do. Without APIs, which are the accounting programming interface, well, I think that's right, or something. Application, that's it, right? I would not be able to do what I do. So that's my favorite piece of tech.
Okay, that's cool. I like it. And again, it's just because it helps you get the data faster, quicker, and
more reliably.
Like you say, more reliably. Okay.
I wouldn't say I enjoy it. I without it, I appreciate it. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, massive segue question again, because you know how I like to do that, give you some whiplash. You said you like running earlier as well. When you are running, what kind of beats and tunes are you listening to, and what are the last 3 things on your playlist?
Oh god, I need to find my playlist. But
so I assume you listen to music.
I do listen to music. I do listen to podcasts as well. But I do listen to music. I'm a, which most people are surprised by, but I am a rock and heavy metal fan, and a bit of emo as well. So my last few songs, I think, on my which I listen on Apple, which probably is now not as cool. I have Brand New, which is proper emo from back in my generation. If you've not listened to Brand New and you love a bit of kind of 90s style emo.
The irony of that name, because let's be honest, you're not a young man
anymore. And neither are they. It's brilliant emo style music. But I mean, Queens of the Stone Age are one of my favorite bands. So that kind of hard rock bordering heavy metal kind of area.
Oh, now I need to know, how heavy are we talking? Because I first of all, I like how you explained it as I don't look like a metal fan, because you're right, there are some stereotypes that neither you or I, because I love metal by the way, do not fulfill. So how heavy are we talking? Are we talking like kind of thrash metal, like Trivium, or like rap metal, like like Linkin Park? Like how heavy?
So Linkin Park definitely. I've not heard of Trivium, so I'm guessing not thrash metal. I mean, it depends. So I think if it's hard rock, most hard rock I love, right? I love heavy beat. I love a really skilled bass. But when it comes to like really fast metal, some bits I really like, some bits that just don't gel with me. So it's a bit more hit and miss, I would say, on the metal side. But definitely hard rock is probably my niche area.
And how do we feel about vocals? Because I don't mind screaming, and I realise as my tastes have matured and evolved, I listen to more screaming, but it has to be the right type. And I have to have some clean vocals.
Yes,
personally.
If it's just screaming all the way through, it's like, what's the point? There's nothing there. It's mixing up, and it's I guess from the screaming side, it's like Screamo, for example, which was something that seemed to come out in the 90s. It was just, screaming for the sake of it. What's the point of that? You mix it up, having great harmony and great. And you know what I actually love is where one of my favorite ways of complementary singing is where they're singing slightly over the top of each other, like slightly out of time. That I love. It really makes a good flow in music.
I think you may enjoy a band by the name of Dance Gavin Dance. I don't know if you heard them at all.
I have not. I will.
They got a track called "We Own the Night," and in my opinion, it is the perfect blend of screamo with clean, with interesting guitar and drum. Honestly, honestly,
written that down.
Awesome lyrics.
I'll check that out.
Very catchy. I love it as well. Ian Cooper's still in the comments as well. He's got the rock on sign, so yeah, it's cool. For the people who are still watching, by the way, do you have any questions for Ryan? Tasteful questions, please. I mean, they can be funny, they can be work related, but please keep them tasteful. In the interim, question for you. I joked about how long you've been in the industry, because you're almost 40.
Almost, yeah, almost 40.
Not sure that. But no, that means you've been in this industry long enough to see the rise of Xero, for example, which disrupted the market. My question is going to be, someone who's younger than you, and they're 19, 20, considering uni or not, or haven't gone, what would you do to get into this industry, and what should they kind of look at in terms of fintech or that advisory piece that everyone is talking about?
Yeah, okay. So I guess a lot of that is, where do I feel the industry is going, and what will be prevalent, and so where do you need to place yourself? So
Sorry, Sarah Hunt, big up the 40 crew.
Yep, sounds good. So firstly, my advice, if you want to get into accounting, you don't need to go to university. And in fact, if you go to university, you're setting yourself slightly further back than those that take an apprenticeship and go straight into accounting. I did go into university. That's because I had no idea what I wanted to do, and I only made the decision to go into accounting once I'd left and had to get a career. I would say the apprenticeship route would be the best route to go, and get yourself involved in a tech-focused firm. If you go and join one where you're doing, a lot of stuff manually or very heavily in Excel, and all of your clients either bring in paper records or, Excel spreadsheets, then you are starting on the back foot. You're learning on something that's antiquated and won't be around for too much longer. The government is pushing very heavily for digitized records. Everything is heading that way, and you need to be around those that understand the technology. And then I guess other things are just follow what you're interested in. If you like tech, follow that. If you like compliance, follow that. From my side, listen to podcasts, follow those on LinkedIn that you're interested in, comment on those. You then see those messages more, and you just learn for absorption. So the key things are those three really. AAT from an apprenticeship is what I generally advise to do. Find a firm that is forward thinking, and then follow those and listen to those that you find you're passionate about and you agree with.
Thank you. That's a good answer, because like I said before, I do have some students that watch this. They do ask me questions in DM sometimes. Thank you for that piece of advice. Speaking of studying, your degree was not an easy degree. It was a brain box degree, theoretical and mathematical physics. That sounds like some Brian Cox level stuff.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what it was, or is it?
No, it's spot on. I don't have many idols in my life, but Brian Cox is one of those, and I got the chance to shake his hand about 4 years ago, and I had one of those moments where you kind of don't know what to do or say because you're just overwhelmed. I don't get them very often. Yep. I got that when I went to shake.
You got starstruck.
Yeah, I got starstruck, completely starstruck. So I fell into it because I was good at it and I liked it. And I weirdly found it a lot easier than accountancy. So I managed to get a 2-1 in theoretical and mathematical physics, and then came out and did the ACA, and
that was a low key flex, by the way. That was a low. The way you said that so casually. Yeah, I managed to get a 2-1 in theoretical. Do you know how most people know that theoretical physics is really hard? You're just like, yeah, I got a 2-1. Like, just found it easy.
Well, it's the bit that it makes me a super geek, Dow, is that I could probably reel off the first 20 to 30 elements of the periodic table, and there was Pointless was on the other day, and they came out with the pointless questions. I was like, I've got 10 pointless answers.
You got pointless answers?
About 10, just because they were all the periodic table ones. So yeah, I'm a proper science geek. To the right of me, I've got a bookcase filled with books. Half of those, probably more than half of those, are physics or science related books. So
that's awesome. I love it. I love when people do other things and then come into the sector, because it's fantastic. I do enjoy seeing that kind of diversity. Are you familiar with Rob Coburn from Cresco, by the way?
No, I know quite a few people at Cresco, but I've not come across Rob, I don't believe. And if Rob is listening,
he's one of their account managers.
If Rob's listening and we have met, then my sincere apologies, Rob.
It's cool. No, he's similar in that regard. So his degree again was something insane, like theoretical physics, like yours. And just a wicked smart guy again. Just knows so much stuff.
Have to meet Rob.
And he uses his powers for good.
Make your introduction there, Dal. I'd like to meet Rob. It's good to meet fellow physicists that are in the accounting sector.
He's a cool guy. He honestly is a very cool guy. I'm going to go to the questions, by the way, because we've got one from Mark Howison, and it's a touchy one for our sector. Mark Howison, what's your thoughts on the recent 16% increase in Xero software subscription increase? What's the justification? That's
a very good question, Mark. So I guess there's some clarity here. So firstly, Xero increased 3 of their subscription tiers. 2 of them, I believe, which is the starter and standard, went around 7%. And the one I think Mark's referring to is the premium one, which was 16%. Now, where do I stand on this? So I think reasonably where we are in inflation and the main costs that affect, I guess, the likes of Xero, 7%, in my opinion, is reasonable. If we're increasing our accountancy fees on an annual basis at the moment, we're doing kind of 7 to 9%. I think that's standard, which most accounting practices should be doing. The 16% on something where the only differentiation is foreign exchange, foreign currency, I think that's a hard justification. And I think it's a bit they're attacking people that need a certain part of the system. Now they might see it from a value perspective. Personally, I don't see the same value for that area. So
that is a fantastic answer and very well politically put, because when Mark said what's the justification, my response was going to be, don't know, ask Xero. But you did it way better than me, so thank you. Florence McGowan, did you enjoy Oppenheimer? Have you gone to see it yet?
I have not. No, I do want to see it. Having as we discussed already, Dale, having a young daughter,
3-year-old,
getting out of the house to do anything for a personal side. I have gone and seen the recent Pixar movie, which was about the elements. That was good. I can't remember what it's called now, Elemental or something.
No, I know which one you mean. It's got the 4 major elements: fire, water, earth, wind.
I mean,
and I haven't seen it yet.
And being the emotional sucker I am now, I think I had a little tear in the Pixar Elemental movie. So, but I do want to go out and see Oppenheimer. I've heard good things. I've heard it's very, you want to go see Barbie and then Oppenheimer back to back. That seems to be the thing that people do at the moment.
That's what I've heard, and I can relate to you about the emotional thing, right? I've seen Moana in the last 2 weeks at least 10 times, and I see the dad trying to protect his daughter. I get it, man. I get it. Yeah. Sarah Hunt coming in with some good questions. Is it true that biology is really chemistry? Chemistry is really physics, and physics is really maths?
Not quite. I've got a slight slant on this. Is that chemistry is more important than biology, physics is more important than chemistry, and maths is more important than physics. So you need each one in the tier above. That's generally how I view it. Without,
of course, you would say that.
Well, without
maths,
you can't have physics. Without physics, you can't have chemistry. And without chemistry, you can't have biology. That's my argument. So yes, I feel where Sarah's coming on that one, and definitely have the same argument, especially when I'm talking to those that have biology and chemistry degrees.
gauntlet thrown down. I guarantee there's someone who watched this who'd be like, no,
Yeah.
oh, physicist so arrogant. How do you feel about Neil deGrasse Tyson as well? Is he another one of your heroes?
Not a hero. He's he can be quite controversial, but he's a very interesting man, very smart, and the areas he specializes in, I guess, aren't quite as linked to my passions in the physics space. But yeah, I've got a lot of respect for him and what he's done in the community. He's a very good voice, and I think it's also more the Brian Cox thing. It was the timing of when he came through, what he did for awareness in the sector, and being UK focused. I think was the big differentiator.
So going back a slight step there, you mentioned that the things that Neil deGrasse Tyson focuses on aren't really your cup of tea. Can you laymanise what is it that he focuses on, and what is it you prefer?
Well, I guess it's less about what he's more general from my experience, whereas Brian Cox is more very heavily focused in theoretical physics and astronomy side, which are my passions. So that's where it's more the fit more than anything else, right? There's so many other great physicists out there that have done a lot for the community, as well as just being great at what they do. So there's no disrespect of that. It's more, as I kind of said earlier, there's not many icons that I have in life. So it's more that Brian Cox kind of got to that thing of the starstruck status. And I mean, one other that I guess I've got a lot of respect for what he's done is Richard Dawkins, very controversial figure. But some of the theories he's had and what he talks about and how he's been so passionate about it, I've got a lot of respect for him as an individual.
Because he's a very strong atheist, right? That's the one. He often debates religious folk.
He is,
about
he's
existence.
He's
also a good scientist.
Well, he's just more vocal about it. Most scientists, in their nature, they sit on the fence because we're not supposed to have. I talk like I'm a scientist, right? Yeah. But we're not supposed to have.
You are a scientist.
Well, yeah, in theory, but we're not supposed to have opinions. We're supposed to present facts. Whereas he's very opinionated, and so that's where it's like he stands out in the world.
Okay. Another comment from Ian Cooper. Sounds like Ryan might have conquered Sid Meier's civilization in his youth. Did you ever play that game?
1 second.
Are you going to reach for the CD version that you've still got in your office?
I've got a board game version of this. So not only did I conquer it, would still play it. I have a board game version that I need more people to play with me. If anyone wants to play a game of Sid Meier's Civilization, we'll do that.
Oh, I'm taking a trip to Essex.
Yeah, well,
let's do it.
I play board games with my wife, but she hates that one, so I do need someone to play with. So there you go, Dale. We've got a date.
So are you a board game person as well? So if I name some of the famous ones like Settlers of Catan and like Carcassonne, are those kind of games?
I've got Carcassonne. I've got. I've not got Settlers. I think I've got the 2-player version, which I'm trying to find now. Can't see it. Well, say it. Oh no, it's Seven Wonders. Sorry, I haven't got the Catan one. So I've got Seven Wonders Duel. Nice. I've got some niche ones. So I've got a game called Everdell. If no one's ever played Everdell, it's one of the most beautiful board games out there. So definitely Google it, check it out. It's a very good one. But yeah, I tend to steer away from the ones like Risk. I'm more into the very specific niche things, especially where it's like building something. I love doing that.
Yeah, ditto. Also, I do like Risk, but I don't always have 8 hours to play a game. So
yeah, if you want one of the ones that really burns through time and is incredibly painful, try Twilight Struggle. That's about the Cold War. Very, very challenging.
Yeah. I also like collaborative games because sometimes I'm overly competitive and I don't feel competitive. So Pandemic,
got it here.
Which is a game I played a lot.
Yeah, I could raise
expansions as well.
Board games up here. I haven't got the Legacy one. Want to do the Legacy one? But yeah, I've got Pandemic. I'm trying.
I've not played the Legacy one either, but that's one way like you have the game and you play it over several weeks / months, right? And I really want to play it, but again, finding people to play it with consistently, especially when you have a small human.
Can you? Because I can see the comments that other people make. Can you ping up Ian's?
Yeah.
Just
Ian Cooper?
Yeah, the bottom one. Just because Ian's referred to Wingspan, which is the next game I want to get. So if you can, Ian, please do play it, and then let me know if it's worth it because I've heard very good things.
Okay. I'm going to put up Debbie's comment next because she's mentioned the classic. Debbie Hales, asbestos wizard. She has a company that removes asbestos.
Nice.
I've had her on the show. No one mentioned Monopoly yet. laughy face.
Well, you say that, Debbie. I have a love-hate relationship with Monopoly because my daughter, who is
we all do.
Well, my daughter, who is 3, we have Peppa Pig Monopoly, and she beats me every time without cheating, and I'm still haven't worked out how.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's bad, isn't it?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wait, so what are the tokens in Peppa Pig Monopoly then? Because I'm guessing it's not a shoe, an iron, and a car.
Oh no, they're like obviously you're playing as the Peppa Pig family, and it's a lot more simple. But yeah, I'm blaming it purely on luck. She's obviously a very lucky person, but no, she's very good at winning. So if she is cheating, she's doing it in a way that I haven't worked out yet.
Yeah. Fun fact: Peppa Pig is banned in my house. Not a huge fan. Don't like it.
Oh well, no, well that's controversial. That's the most controversial statement on this show, I think.
Well, 1, I hate the animation and the art style. That's me being very picky. 2, she's a naughty little pig. She's a little pig, lacking in discipline. Not having that influence in my house.
Oh, I see.
No. My daughter's only watched it once, and that was by mistake.
And that's where all of her naughty actions have come from. There, I assume. That one episode.
No, she's learned a lot. She's learned a lot from me. She told someone in the pub the other day to pipe down. I was like, "Hey, this dude's bigger than you.
Yeah.
Back up."
Yeah.
Okay, let's bring it back to work a little bit because again, LinkedIn, what stuff. Why might someone go to their accountant or bookkeeper for systems advice? The reason why I asked that is again, 10, 15 years ago, back when you were super young, that would have been possibly a weird thing to ask your accountant about. Why do it now? What's changed?
Yeah. Okay. So, firstly, I guess as you alluded to earlier, the likes of Xero, QuickBooks Online came in and revolutionized how we did accounting, or how at least accounting could be done with software. So we'd stagnated for maybe 20 years on the desktop systems where it was all about rekeying, mechanical data entry, and the new systems allowed us to integrate areas together, first being bank feeds, and then the likes of Dext brought us like capture of invoices. So you can get to the point now where you don't need to, apart from your sales invoice, enter any data. It's all just about allocations. And because of that, the accounting industry got very involved with like, okay, we can streamline, we can get really automated here. So we, from being someone that was just kind of stood to the side and didn't care what accounting systems our clients were on, got really interested. It was really, really critical to us in how we operated because we can now do things more effectively, more efficiently. So we became, to a certain extent in the industry, specialized in something that IT consultants may have done. Now, because we have awareness of finance, and we
stepping on my toes, by the way.
What? Because you're more IT based? Is that
IT consultant?
Well, technology business advisor could cover a broader range there.
No, I'm joking. Please continue. Sorry, I'm messing with you. Sorry.
Fair enough.
Go on.
So,
I honestly, I think it's great, and I will edify what you just said. Please continue.
Cut out everything I put and put different words in. The bit is that because we should understand finance, we've got those that have got into the space of technology. We understand technology. We understand.
Did you say should?
Should, yeah, we should. I've met
no.
I've met a lot of accountants that I would say don't. So hence, we should understand finance. We should be able to make the best recommendation for you and what you need. Now, certain businesses, certain accounting firms of a certain size where they can invest it, have got specialist teams that do that, and they've, we put like our team. Our entire job is about finding the right systems for businesses. We understand what you're trying to achieve, what you're trying to get out of it. But the most important part is the decision making you need to make is what we advise on. We have been doing as accountants for so many years, helping businesses make those right decisions on data they need. We understand the data you need to get. We can now understand the systems that can deliver that data. So we are, in my opinion, best placed to help that because we understand where you're trying to get to.
So obviously I joked about it before, the rivalry between IT consultants and accountants giving systems advice. However, to edify what you're saying, I 100% agree. Accountants for a long time and bookkeepers have had financial information about their businesses that any good consultant will want. And they kind of, if they know their client, they kind of know that stuff already. And the fact they've already got that knowledge of that business actually puts them in a very good position to cut out the middleman and provide solid advice based on financial metrics. So I think it's generally a good thing, and I'm enjoying seeing accountants and bookkeepers give more advice. It's the stuff that adds more value, and it's very cliche, but it's true. If you are someone who's doing the books or has, journaled stuff over in the accounts, and you know that client's business from the last year, what's that movement? Why has that happened? Why has payroll increased? Why has it changed? Just asking clients that stuff, and it could be not linked necessarily to personality, but again, some of their systems. Is it hard to use a CRM? Are they not accounting for things correctly when they're bookkeeping? All these little things that accountants tend to know by knowing their clients and just knowing to ask the question. So yeah, I'm actually a massive advocate for it, despite my beefy joke.
Well,
sorry.
Go down.
Please continue.
I was going to say, look, we work alongside IT consultants. Like we have partnerships where there's certain bits that we just don't and can't really get involved in. It's too technical. So if there's areas where you're looking at how do we deal with document management, how we deal with connectivity and resilience testing, and what hardware should we use, we don't deal with any of that. We work alongside IT consultants to review the whole package, and we've done that for multiple clients where they've gone, okay, well, we're now looking to move to the cloud, but we've got these old systems and like our servers getting outdated. What should we do? Do we have the right hardware? Should we have tablets rather than like desktop machines? We don't advise on that, but we look at it from an overall strategy to make sure that if you are transitioning, you're transitioning it in the right way.
I 100% agree with everything you just said. We're vibing so hard right now. Well, I'm vibing. You might not be vibing.
I'm vibing.
Oh, good. The reason I was a little bit distracted when you're talking because there's some hilarious comments coming. First of all, I have to give a shout out to Sia Yasatonma. She's a friend of mine from Texas. She says, oh my God, I'm here. The reason why that's a big deal is she loves the stuff that I do. She often supports me by watching on replay. She's also a night owl. So I think it's like 7 or 8 in the morning for her. She's never up this early. So Sia, thank you for taking the time. She runs a business called Brilliant Beam Media. And I'm going to give her some shout out. She is killing it on LinkedIn and YouTube in terms of like how she edits content and delivers for her clients. She's the reason why LinkedIn and YouTube are looking a lot better for business in general.
Nice.
I would check her out. The way she produces stuff. She does live streams for people. She's got such an amazing setup. She does soundboards and all this kind of stuff. She just makes people look good online. So got to give some love to her.
Whereabouts in Texas? Do you know?
I think she's in Dallas.
Dallas.
I think Dallas.
The reason I ask is because my sister lives over in Austin, Texas. Runs a business called Windsor House Nannies. So if you are like relatively local, Sia, please do check out our website. And if you ever need any nannying, well, you know where to go now.
I mean, yeah, cool. I'm glad we got some promo out of all this. And also, the reason why I was also laughing is because, again, Sarah Hunt, FCA from Fruitful Accounting, also spoke to her. Dale needs to see Peppa Pig Roadman version. Is it rough? Roadman. Are you familiar with the term Roadman?
Yeah, I'm not.
I assume you've got some Roadmen in Essex.
Probably, but I've never heard of that before, and I guess it's quite concerning.
I don't know. I mean, there's lots of Roadman versions of things, and I've enjoyed, I don't know, Dragon Ball Z Roadman version. It's pretty funny. Another statement from Debbie Hales. It's always good to ask your clients what you think is an obvious question. A lot of times we can't see the wood for the trees. True. Spoken like someone who owns an awesome business, which he does, and probably has a very good accountant and or bookkeeper. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I've asked you a lot of questions, some business, some personal, and you've humoured me and delivered quite articulately. Thank you. Do you have any questions for me?
For you, Dale. Okay, well, I guess, I'm going to ask an incredibly controversial one you probably can't even answer. Dale, now you're wondering where I'm going with this. Is who is, apart from me, before me, who's been your favourite guest on your show so far?
You know what? You can ask me that question because I've asked people which one is their favourite kid.
Have you?
So
wow.
That's fine. So who's been my favourite guest apart from you?
Of course it's me. That's what I'm saying. Of course it's me. But before me.
It's definitely not you.
Oh, cheers.
You're all right.
Yeah, I know.
You're all right. How am I rating this? Am I basing on like knowledge and insight? Am I basing on engagement, humour? Because there's different ways of measuring it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really it's an open question, so it's you can rate it on whatever basis that you feel.
Humor wise, about 3 weeks ago I had Gareth Wax. Now he's been on my show a couple of times before. It got silly. John Toome was in the comments, and Gareth has a business in mycelial development. So the precursor to mushrooms. It was supposed to be a serious talk about other business things he's into as well, because he's got 3 or 4 different businesses and revenue streams. They were just mushroom puns for 20 minutes straight.
Nice.
That's all that happened. It was laughter. I couldn't even ask serious questions. Like, it just, so that was funny, and that was very recent. Lara Manton was on week before last. She was fire as a bookkeeper. She was just like awesome.
Yeah.
And again, there was some information. Sarah, again, she's been on the show. She was really, really good. So she specializes in I was gonna say Amazon accounting. That's not right. It's
e-commerce,
e-tail, e-commerce. Thank you. Yeah, and again, it's just my favorite shows are the ones where people balance their humor and their personality. So you've given me some great insights and give that business knowledge. So yeah,
very good answer.
I didn't answer your question.
No, very good.
I evaded.
I think you did very well on that. Like you shout out a few people, different reasons. I think that was it was a good answer.
Well, thank you.
No, so I mean, you've been, I guess, in our space for a while, like in.
So can I just jump in real quickly for
that?
Yeah, Sia. Oh yes, I also spoke to Sia for 3 hours when we did a live stream together.
Jesus, well done, Sia.
We vibed hard.
How could you drag this out for 3 hours?
Well, first of all, she carried the show twice. There's one time when I didn't plug in my laptop. She had to carry it for about a minute or two. And then, yeah, she actually just spoke to the camera herself. But yeah, she nailed it. Sorry, Sia.
Well, I guess, if you're off sick, Dale, one time, Sia could just run the show for you.
I mean, that is one of the things she does, by the way. That's one of her skills.
Oh, I see. Fair enough.
Sorry, before I interrupted you, you were going to...
I was going to say, like, obviously, you've been in the sector for a while. I was thinking, there's probably some big frustrations you have. Like, there's, in any business, any sector, there's always frustrations that we come across. What is your biggest frustration, I guess, about the accounting sector?
That is a really good question.
I ask difficult questions.
No, you do. What is my biggest frustration with the accounting sector? I'm giving it genuine thought, hence the.
Well, it's fine. You've got to balance it with offending everyone. That's the
issue. Yeah. Yes, because I can say some very brazen statements, and that will tick off all bookkeepers and all accountants. My most frustrating thing is and it's changed in the time that I've been in the industry, so 6-7 years. People not doing systems advisory correctly. My biggest frustration is some prolific accountant or bookkeeper on social media or within the industry, well respected, that's fine, saying they like a certain software and we're going, let's do that. And I'm like, that's a disservice to you and your business and potentially your clients. Don't get me wrong, it's really good to have peer review. And if, Scrutton Bland, Creston Reeves, BDO, whoever, Golding accountants say this is really good, that's good. But do some weighing and measuring yourself. Evaluation matrices, in my opinion, are very simple tools that you can use to help advise your clients. So people are abusing the term advisory, specifically when it comes to systems, and I'm very protective of that. Like there's a way and process of doing it, and many accountants, when I first joined, didn't do it properly. And that's not just me selling myself, because honestly, I genuinely believe my role in the next 5 to 10 years will disappear. But yeah, that was my biggest pet peeve, and it still kind of happens. It does kind of irk me when people do it badly.
When you said when you joined, I'm like, no, it's still prevalent. I mean, like we've set up, which you're part of actually, Dale. Like we've set up the Systems Advisory Network to help those that are in this space, improve what we do. And although I chair it, I'm not dictating how it should be done. We're kind of working together to go, well, what does good look like, and how do we hold each other accountable to it? So yeah, it's something that I'm very passionate about, and it's great to have you involved in that as well, Dale. So it's good. Yes. I love the answer.
Thanks. Before we wrap this up, we need to give you some promo. So first of all, you work for Scrutton Bland, a fantastic accounting firm based in Essex.
Essex and Suffolk and Norfolk and a little bit Cambridgeshire. Tiny little bit Cambridgeshire.
All right, steady on, County Hall.
Take it over the world.
And then I've got the same plan. You also run you run a podcast and you have 2 kind of networks. Please could you restate what those are again for those people who don't know?
That's fine. So myself and John Toon, who you've talked about, and our brilliant co-presenter, Indy Tatler, run the Digitools in a Cruel World podcast, which I'll spell because it's impossible to find it otherwise. It's DIGI-TOOLS in a cruel, spell ACCRUAL, and then world. Please follow us, check it out. There's something very funny interviews on there, and also some great interviews with the people that where we ask more challenging questions than you, Dale. We really grill them. You've been very nice.
I'm a nice guy. Mate, I could have been Paxman on you. I could have done it, but I just there's no need.
That's true. And then I run the System Advisory Network, and the podcast and the System Advisory Network are being wrapped up into a brand that will soon launch. But I'll give a little sneak peek on your show, Dale. Called
an exclusive.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, called the Digital Disruptors. So please follow me on LinkedIn. Keep your eyes out if you're interested in technology, especially based around the UK, the accounting-based technology. Hopefully, it's going to be a big thing that can help.
Banging. Thank you for that. Just before we wrap up, I've got to give a shout out to Mike Ashbrainer. Again, another American. He's not in Texas. He's somewhere else, another state where they say y'all a lot. He's a cool guy. He runs the Hounds of Business Network. Again, they do a lot of stuff on LinkedIn. They're not a pod, very important,
cool.
But they're very cool people and very supportive. It's worth giving a shout and a follow. He's a nice guy. He's kind of like a modern day Robin Hood. He's an IFA that does work for people who aren't mega rich.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because
I know, right?
I was speaking to one today, and I said, surely your entire client base is rich old people. So it's good to see that those that are, helping people that aren't the rich old people in the world.
Mike is in Kentucky. Yeah, I think we're going to close it off there. Unless, Ryan, do you have any kind of magnificent final points, nuggets of wisdom you want to drop on people, or just a funny joke?
Oh God, I've got no jokes. No, yeah, I can't do any jokes, but I would just say it's been a pleasure, Dale. You've made this incredibly entertaining, and just I hope I've managed to keep up with you in making this show good.
You have, man. You made it awesome. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to hit end broadcast. Please smile for 5 seconds while it closes down. Thank you, everyone else, for joining me in the comments.